In my past life, my own brother drugged me. He sent me to the bed of his best friend, Song Qian. After a night of absurdity, even though he was forced to marry me, his eyes were filled with nothing but disgust. While his beloved, Ling Jiayue, ended up becoming my sister-in-law. But in the second year of marriage, Ling Jiayue died in sorrow, and the Jiang family was wiped out as traitors. Song Qian suddenly became tender and attentive to me. I was foolish enough to think that he finally saw my true feelings, until that arrow pierced through my chest. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the night I was drugged. I snapped my eyes open. My body still felt the phantom pain of being pierced by the officer's sword, but a second later, waves of scorching heat surged in my heart. I pulled out my silver hairpin and stabbed my thigh. The sharp pain cleared my mind momentarily. I pushed open the window and climbed out. I circled around to the side, and sure enough, I saw my brother's personal maid, Xiaoyao, hiding behind a corridor pillar, peering in secretly. I crept up behind Xiaoyao quietly and knocked her out cold with a vase I had grabbed. I dragged her into the room and tucked my brother's jade pendant into her embrace. Brother, enjoy the great gift your sister prepared for you. I climbed over the wall to find a host club but stumbled into Jinling's largest brothel, Yanyu Pavilion. My lady, you've come to the wrong place. A lazy voice rang out above me. I looked up into a pair of smiling peach blossom eyes. It was Jinling's biggest rogue, Jin Wang. In my past life, I hated him more than anyone, bar none. But at this moment, he looked remarkably handsome. I'm not in the wrong place. You're exactly who I'm looking for. I grabbed his collar and kissed him. When the golden wind meets the jade dew, they surpass all the fleeting joys of the mortal world. Before dawn, I hurriedly picked up my skirt and fled, unaware that my begonia earring was left on the bed. As I climbed back over the wall into the manor, the morning dew was light. On the moss of the deserted west court, a few wet footprints were left, soon to be dried by the rising sun. As I pushed open my bedroom door, Chuanxue rushed forward with swollen eyes. Miss, where were you last night? I was scared to death. Looking at Chuanxue's young face, I was dazed for a moment. In my past life, Song Qian took a concubine who looked like Ling Jiayue. He pampered her in every way. Later, the concubine framed me for causing her miscarriage. Song Qian wouldn't even listen to my explanation and directly condemned me. It was Chuanxue who stood up to take the blame for me. Before she died, she cried just like this. Miss, live on well and leave the Song manor. Chuanxue, I gently wiped away her tears, my fingertips touching her warm cheek. In this life, I will protect you. The little maid was stunned. I changed the subject and yawned. Help me remove my makeup. That bastard Qin Wang insisted on fighting for the dominant position last night. He left me with a sore waist and weak legs. Does anyone else in the manor know I was out? Chuanxue shook her head. I didn't dare say a word. I just kept watch in secret. Her eyes swept over the red marks on my neck. She lowered her eyes in distress. I looked at Chuanxue. What's wrong? Miss, you're missing an earring. I didn't care much. I probably dropped it somewhere. As the hot water washed over me, I felt a lifetime of weariness. I didn't expect that rogue Qin Wang to be in such good physical shape. What a pity those 3 hours were. When noise came from the north court, I was painting my eyebrows in the mirror. Miss, something happened at the courtyard. Chuanxue ran in panic. I leisurely put down my silk ribbon, fingertips tracing the mark under the scarf. No rush. Let the fire burn a little brighter. In my past life at this time, I had just woken up disheveled in Song Qian's bed, facing looks full of contempt. But today, let's go. It's time to see the show I prepared for my brother. The main room of the North Court was surrounded by servants. I appeared right on time, just as Jiang Ziao was grabbing Song Qian's collar. He roared, "How dare you touch my sister? Are you worthy of Jiayue?" My footsteps faltered, my nails dug deep into my palms. My dear brother. Even now, all he cares about is his precious Ling Jiayue. I pushed the door open to find the room in a mess. Song Qian sat grimly by the bed, his bare chest exposed, while on the bed, the one sobbing with head bowed was Xiaoyao. Brother, what are you all shouting about? I leaned lazily against the doorframe, my voice soft as if I had just woken up. 2 pairs of eyes pierced toward me simultaneously. Jiang Ziyao's expression was priceless. Shock, error, panic. While Song Qian, with those usually cold eyes, stared intently at me before slowly shifting to Xiaoyao on the bed. His voice was cold as ice. Who are you? Xiaoyao looked up, crying piteously. Master Song drank too much last night and grabbed me. I couldn't get away. Song Qian's gaze was terrifyingly dark. Seeing the person on the bed was Xiaoyao. Jiang Ziyao's face turned ashen. Impossible. He suddenly stopped, looking at me in horror. I walked slowly to the table and poured myself some tea. The jade bracelet on my wrist clinked. He forced himself to stay calm and asked softly, Yujia, where were you last night? I met his gaze, smiling with innocent charm. I was in my room all night. Didn't brother say he wanted to watch the moon with me? How did you get drunk first? Song Qian keenly caught Jiang Ziyao's strange look. His gaze moved back and forth between me and Jiang Ziao, finally settling on my neck. There was the mark left by Qin Wang. His pupils shrank. A jade pendant was suddenly thrown at Jiang Ziyao's feet. The crisp sound of shattering made Xiaoyao tremble. Brother's personal jade pendant. He said every word deliberately. Jiang Ziao, you certainly calculated well. I lowered my head to hide my smile. Dog bites dog, what a great show. Isn't it? Jiang Ziao frantically picked up the jade pieces, suddenly pointing at Xiaoyao. It's her. This wench must have stolen my jade pendant. Xiaoyao's face went deathly pale. Young master, it was clearly you who told me to stay. Jiang Ziao slapped her across the face, cutting off Xiaoyao's words. I watched the farce with cold eyes. In the past life, to silence her, Jiang Ziao personally forced poison down Xiaoyao's throat. Seeing her turn on him now was strangely satisfying. Song Qian rose leisurely, his black robe sweeping over the debris. He walked up to me, still carrying the scent of the previous night. He leaned down and whispered in my ear. Miss Jiang, I truly underestimated you. I looked up and met his eyes. In his dark pupils, I saw my own calm and smiling face. What are you saying, Master Song? Yujie doesn't understand. I blinked with feigned confusion. He gave a cold laugh and swept out of the room. Jiang Ziao chased after him for a few steps before returning, grabbing my wrist. You did this, didn't you? You and Xiaoyao. I gently pulled my hand back, smoothing the wrinkles on his collar. Brother, you should think about how to explain to father why your personal jade pendant was in Xiaoyao's possession. Seeing his face turn instantly white, I leaned close to his ear, using a voice only we could hear. And how to explain this to your beloved Jiaoyue? As I turned to leave, Jiang Ziao stopped me. Yujie, what are those marks on your neck? The room fell silent for a moment. I hurriedly covered my neck, my cheeks flushing red. I was bitten by a mosquito last night. Jiang Ziao looked suspicious, and was about to ask more when the butler ran in frantically. Young master, Master Qin is here. My heart skipped a beat. Qin Wang? What is he doing here? He couldn't have found out. In the front hall, Qin Wang was dressed in a crimson robe, toying with a begonia earring. So he had it. Seeing us enter, he raised a brow, smiling with reckless abandon. I wonder if Miss Jiang recognizes this earring? I panicked for a split second, then steadied myself, taking a sip of tea. I don't recognize it. Oh? Then sorry for the disturbance. Qin Wang stood up gracefully. Before leaving, he suddenly turned back. His eyes swept meaningfully across my neck. If Miss Jiang remembers anything, you are always welcome to find me at the Qin Manor. Once that crimson figure disappeared, Jiang Ziao grabbed my wrist. My sister is truly skilled. I coldly shook off his hand. What are you talking about, brother? I don't understand. Jinling City's spring banquet had always been a grand gathering of talents and beauties. I leaned against a pillar, watching coldly as Ling Jiayue arrived amidst falling flowers. She was in a pure white gauze dress, her hair pinned with only a white magnolia, graceful as a painting. Jiayue, Jiang Ziao rushed toward her, the joy on his face unconcealable. Even more ridiculous was Song Qian, the man who was always cold and aloof, actually stepped forward quickly to meet her, with a tenderness in his eyes I had never seen before. Men. In the past life, when she returned, Song Qian had already been forced to marry me. She stood outside the wedding hall, with teary eyes saying, I wish you both a long life together, and then fell ill for 3 months, which only made Song Qian's hatred for me even deeper. But in this life, Jiaoyue. Song Qian reached out to touch her head, but she dodged him. Song Qian froze in place. Ling Jiayue's affectionate eyes were filled with tears as she looked at him. Qian. I rushed back as soon as I received your letter. Song Qian's brow furrowed. I never wrote a letter. I heard as soon as I entered the city that you slept with Ziyao's personal maid. The garden went silent. She lowered her head, then looked up, tears falling in a way that pricked the hearts of every man present. I saw several young masters unable to contain themselves, their eyes full of pity. After all, she wasn't just Jinling's top beauty, but also a renowned talented woman of the south. Now that everyone is here, the real show begins. Song Qian pulled Ling Jiayue to the pond. Qian. You're hurting me. Ling Jiayue tried to pull her hand away. Jiayue, let me explain. Song Qian subconsciously let go. Ling Jiayue took half a step back. This action made Song Qian freeze instantly. She turned and threw herself into Jiang Ziyao's arms, crying piteously. Ziyao. Is everything they say true? Jiang Ziyao patted her back, while looking defiantly at Song Qian. And Song Qian's face had turned so dark it was practically dripping with gloom. Truly spectacular. I sipped my peach blossom wine, hiding the smile at the corner of my mouth. That letter with Song Qian's signature was a masterpiece I spent 3 nights forging. In my past life, to please him, I practiced imitating his calligraphy for half a year. I had hoped to gain a sliver of his favor, but only received his cold words. You will never compare to Jiayue. Yujie, this play. Are you enjoying it enough? Qin Wang's lazy voice sounded above me. Then his presence enveloped me without warning. He appeared behind me out of nowhere, his crimson robe brushing against my wrist, carrying the heat of pine and wine. His breath brushed against my ear. My body stiffened as I forced myself to stay calm. I asked with feigned ignorance, what is Master Qin talking about? I don't understand. His lips were almost touching my ear. Forging Song Qian's writing to call Ling Jiayue back early. letting the white moonlight witness her lover's betrayal with her own eyes. Truly a heart-killing move. My heart rate suddenly accelerated. How did he? I thought to myself. Lowering my eyes, a thought flashed through my mind. Should I kill him? But then I remembered his skills were quite good. Much better than Song Qian's. I was a little reluctant. What are you thinking? Qin Wang seemed to sense something was wrong. He suddenly tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his gaze. I slapped his hand away, a playful smile curving my lips. I beckoned him with my finger. He leaned down face to face. The tip of his nose almost touching mine. His warm breath hit my face. Master Qin. This rogue reputation of yours has fooled everyone. Takes one to know one. Everyone says the eldest Miss Jiang is virtuous and kind. A model for all women. But seeing you today, in my past life, it was those 4 words, virtuous and kind, that acted like heavy shackles, binding me my entire life. Because of those 4 words, I endured Song Qian's cold violence for months. Because of those 4 words, Ling Jiayue made things difficult for me repeatedly in front of him. Because of those 4 words, I helped Song Qian take one concubine after another. In this life, I want to be a reckless enchantress. I raised an eyebrow. Well? Before I could finish, he suddenly kissed me. That kiss carried an irresistible force. I raised my hand to hit him, but he caught it firmly. This bastard. I cursed inwardly, staring at him with wide, angry eyes, but he ignored my anger completely. The corners of his mouth turning up slightly, he deepened the kiss, making it even more intense and profound. In a fit of pique, I bit his lip without hesitation. He felt a sharp pain, but didn't back down. Instead, he kissed me harder. When the kiss ended, my legs went weak, and I slumped into his arms. He gave a low laugh, his chest vibrating, but his fingers maliciously pinched my waist to stop me from sliding down. Want something even more exciting? He whispered in my ear, his voice low and seductive. Before I could react, I saw him flick his finger. A pebble accurately hit Ling Jiayue's knee. Splash! Her legs gave way, and she fell headfirst into the pond. Jiang Ziyao's face changed instantly, and he jumped into the water without hesitation. Song Qian also rushed over frantically, but Jiang Ziyao was closer. He was the first to pull Ling Jiayue out. Her soaked dress clung to her body, revealing every curve. The pond was surrounded by onlookers. The whispers started immediately. With such physical contact, wouldn't they have to? Didn't they say Master Song and Miss Ling were in love? Now there's a real show to watch. Ling Jiayue's face was deathly pale, her whole body trembling, but she had to be carried ashore by Jiang Ziyao. Song Qian stood dripping on the bank, his gaze terrifyingly dark. A smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. It's done. Although I didn't design this part, the result is exactly what I wanted. In this life, Ling Jiayue is destined to marry my brother again. The 3 of them, one hypocrite, one selfish soul, and one malicious viper. They can torment each other for eternity. I turned to look at Qin Wang, only to find him staring at me with a half smile, his gaze incredibly deep. I get the feeling he did it on purpose. How could he know my plan? Could he be reborn too? My heart jumped. Impossible. I pushed down my doubts, adjusted my dress, and gave him a radiant smile. Master Qin, I'm very satisfied with your technique. With that, I turned and left, missing the dark look that flashed in his eyes. Jiang Ziyao and Ling Jiayue's wedding was rushed, but extremely luxurious. I disguised myself as a servant to sneak into the procession, watching my father sitting stiffly in the high hall, every congratulation making his face twitch. The son-in-law he wanted was Song Qian. But now, his gaze swept over Jiang Ziyao and his wedding robes, and finally turned into a sigh. Even if the Jiang family had declined, they were still a century-old noble house, with the heritage of 3 prime ministers in their ancestry and the imperial plaque hanging in the hall. When Song Qian arrived, the whole room fell silent. He was dressed in plain clothes, incompatible with the piercing red of the room. Ling Jiayue was being assisted over the brazier. Hearing Song Qian had arrived, her footsteps under the veil halted abruptly. She turned around. Through the swaying beaded curtain, their eyes met. Her tears fell instantly, blooming on her wedding dress. Jiayue. Song Qian instinctively stepped forward but was blocked by Jiang Ziyao. Jiang Ziyao's fingers on his wine cup turned white. Qian, today is my big day. I toast to you. The guests craned their necks, eyes gleaming with the thrill of a scandal. I saw my parents' embarrassed faces on the stage, and had to pinch my palms to keep from laughing out loud. Yujia, you are the legitimate daughter of the Jiang family. You must be virtuous and kind. My father's words from the past life rang in my ears. That was when Ling Jiayue deliberately knocked over the soup I made for him, scalding my hand until it was swollen and red. But father scolded me instead. Jiayue is weak. Don't bicker with her. Later, I knelt before the Jiang manor, begging father to save me from the hell of the Song family. A married daughter is like spilled water. Father refused to see me. Don't come back and embarrass us. And now, father is stiffly accepting congratulations, the veins on his temples throbbing. Jiang Ziyao, with an ashen face, dragged Ling Jiayue to finish the ceremony. The wedding silk was pulled tight between them. How satisfying. I tilted my head and drained my glass. The burning pleasure in my throat almost overflowed. Ling Jiayue, this is only the beginning. On the wedding night, Jiang Ziyao hit Ling Jiayue. The news spread throughout the Jiang family by morning. Let me go. I heard the young master wanted to consummate the marriage, but the young madam refused to the death. She even scratched the young master's face. Chuanchua whispered, her eyes gleaming with excitement. The young master was furious. He slapped her once. And the young madam hit the corner of the bed. She has a huge bruise on her forehead. I slowly stirred the bird's nest in my bowl. A slight smile on my lips. At the hour of Mao, Ling Jiayue came to serve tea. The bruise on her forehead still visible. She wore a dress of bright red, but it couldn't hide her exhaustion. Jiang Ziao stood beside her, dark circles under his eyes, his jaw tight. Clearly, they hadn't slept all night. Father, mother, please have some tea. Ling Jiayue knelt on the cushion, offering the tea with both hands. Father took the cup, giving a cold grunt, not even sparing her a glance. Mother hesitated to take hers, until Jiang Ziao, pained to see Ling Jiayue kneeling, intervened. After mother took the tea, she silently took a thick booklet from a maid nearby and threw it in front of Ling Jiayue. The Jiang family rules, virtue chapter. Mother's voice was indifferent. Since you've entered the Jiang family, you must follow our rules. Study it well. I will test you in 3 days. Yes. Ling Jiayue looked at me, forcing a smile. Sister Yujia. This is a gift from your sister-in-law. I reached out to take it. The moment our fingertips touched, her jade bracelet fell and shattered into 2 pieces on the floor. I let out a cry of surprise, my eyes instantly reddening. If sister-in-law didn't want to give it, you should have just said so. Why do this? To make everyone think I'm unhappy with you as my sister-in-law? Ling Jiayue's face changed color instantly. The gazes in the hall were like knives, all stabbing into her. Her chest heaved violently, and she finally couldn't hold back. She stood up abruptly. Jiang Yujia, you did that on purpose. I flinched, lowering my head and twisting my handkerchief. Don't be angry, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have said anything. Jiayue. Jiang Ziao stood up to scold her, but he was a step too late. Father slammed his hand on the table and stood up. Ling, is this your upbringing? Throwing a tantrum in front of your parents-in-law? Ling Jiayue turned deathly pale. Jiang Ziao grabbed her wrist, forcing her back to her knees. Apologize to father, now. Mother glanced indifferently at Ling Jiayue and said, copy the family rules 100 times. Bring them to me tomorrow. Before noon, the news had spread throughout the Jiang matter. The new young madam was dissatisfied with the rules and had publicly humiliated her sister-in-law. I heard the young madam even called the madam harsh. Really? Shoo. I saw it with my own eyes. She even dared to talk back to the master. I sat in the gazebo, listening to the maid's embellished gossip, leisurely sipping my tea. In the distance, Ling Jiayue stood alone under the corridor, gripping that book of family rules tightly. Song Qian left. I stood on the city wall watching the carriage disappear, my nails digging into my palms. In the last life, he became the top scholar this year, and the calamity that wiped out the Jiang family was drawing near. The manor was in constant chaos. Ling Jiayue was tormented by mother until she barely looked human. She had to serve in the main courtyard before dawn. If the food wasn't to their taste, she was punished with kneeling. At night, she had to endure Jiang Ziyao's insults. Ling Jiayue, why are you acting so pure? Everyone saw your body that day. Within a month, she was physically ruined. Those eyes that once enchanted all the young lords now held nothing but resentment. Meanwhile, I lost no favors today. Enjoying flower banquets tomorrow, I was quite content. Even mother was surprised. Yujia, you've been looking very well lately. I smiled softly, catching a glimpse of Ling Jiayue's white-knuckled grip on her handkerchief. Does it hurt? This isn't even 1,000th of what I suffered in my past life. In my past life, Song Qian stayed pure for Ling Jiayue. He never touched me after our marriage. Seeing no movement in my belly, Song's mother mocked me daily with cold sarcasm. A hen that can't lay eggs, occupying the position of the main wife for nothing. I was pushed to the brink, forced to dress like Ling Jiayue. A moon-white silk dress, a white magnolia hairpin. Even my perfume was changed to her favorite cedar scent. Carrying a bowl of soup, I gently pushed open the study door. Husband, it's late. Song Qian looked up, his gaze instantly becoming bone-chillingly cold. You lowlife. He smashed the soup bowl. The scalding liquid splashed onto the back of my hand. Take it off. I froze in place. Take off those clothes. You're not worthy of imitating her. I took a half step back, only to be grabbed by the collar. My silk dress was torn open. I hurriedly clutched my neckline. Song Qian, you're crazy. He sneered as he clutched my neck. I'm crazy? If you hadn't schemed and used your family status, why would I ever marry you? And why would Jiayue have to marry that useless brother of yours? I gripped my collar tight, refusing to let go. But he tore it away with his own hands. In the end, I was kicked out of the study, dressed in tattered white silk, my hair disheveled. I walked barefoot through the long corridor, the servants hiding and snickering. The old maids pointed and whispered. Look, she was kicked out again. Tried to dress like Miss Ling, only to humiliate herself. By the next day, it had spread throughout the capital. Madame Song was shameless. She tried to seduce her husband at night and was kicked out. That night, Prince Qin climbed through my window again, smelling of alcohol as he pinned me to the bed. Guess what I saw at Zuishan Tavern today? I pushed him away, asking nonchalantly, what? Your dear brother. Dining at Zuishan Tavern with a woman. In my last life, Jiang Ziao loved Ling Jiayue and never took a concubine. I lowered my head to hide the calculation in my eyes. After all, that girl was someone I specifically prepared for my brother. In every aspect, she resembled the old Ling Jiayue. The white moonlight finally turned into common frost. Afterward, Prince Qin also came to my room, sometimes bringing news, sometimes saying nothing at all, just staying with me until dawn. One night, he held my wrist, his breath hot. Jiang Yujie. When do you plan to give me a title? I laughed. I hadn't thought about it. He paused. I provoked him on purpose. If you're unwilling, I can find someone else. Before I could finish, he let go of me, grabbed his cloak, and left without looking back. He stayed away for half a month. I told myself I shouldn't care, but in the dead of night, hearing the wind outside, I would subconsciously look up, only to never see those familiar crimson robes again. I crushed that emotion ruthlessly. I had more important things to do. Song Qian was about to place high in the exams. The calamity of the Jiang family was due soon. Ling Jiayue died at the same time as in the previous life, but the manner of death was different. In the last life, she died of a broken heart. Before dying, she held Song Qian's hand, saying weakly, "Brother, don't blame Sister Yujie." But in this life, she was killed by Jiang Ziyao's own hand. When the news arrived, I was painting my eyebrows. Chuanxue ran and flustered. "Miss, the young madam is gone." "How did she die?" I continued painting my eyebrows. They looked exceptionally beautiful today. They said she had an argument with the eldest young master and hit the corner of a table. A smile slowly touched my lips. As expected, last night, Prince Qin had sent a message saying Ling Jiayue found out about the woman Jiang Ziao was keeping outside. She went there herself, beating the girl half to death. After Jiang Ziao returned to the manor, a fierce argument broke out between them. "Do you think you're still that high and mighty, Miss Ling?" "Jiang Ziao. How did you beg to marry me back then?" "If I'd known, I would never have married you. You'll never compare to Brother Qian." In that moment, Jiang Ziao shoved her. Ling Jiayue hit the sharp corner of a pearwood table. Blood splattered everywhere. And my dear brother didn't even look back. As he turned and left, by the time the maids found her, her body was already cold. In the last life, up until her death, Ling Jiayue was the white moonlight in their hearts. When she died of illness, Song Qian held her body. His eyes red as he told me, "Jiang Yujie, you'll owe her for the rest of your life." My brother Jiang Ziao went mad and beat me half to death. "Jiang Yujie, you're the one who killed her." Everyone blamed me. But now, her body was hastily dealt with. Even the funeral hall was perfunctory. They announced she died of illness. After all, Ling Jiayue was always weak, and that one witness maid had already been silenced. Perfect. I stood under the corridor, leisurely eating melon seeds. News that Song Qian placed first reached the Song family. Overnight, their doorstep was crowded. Matchmakers nearly broke down the door. Portraits of noble ladies piled up in the Song family's hall. Song's mother couldn't stop smiling. She told everyone, "My Qian has been brilliant since childhood. Now, his success is also a blessing from our ancestors." But I knew what malice was hidden behind that kind face. In the last life, after Song Qian placed high, Song's mother couldn't wait to shove women into his room. She drugged Song Qian and also drugged her niece, the delicate Lu Ruyan, and sent her into Song Qian's room. When Song Qian woke up, he was furious. "Mother, what are you doing?" Song's mother was unfazed. She turned to me. "Yujie arranged it. She said she was afraid she couldn't serve you well enough." I had no way to defend myself. Song Qian sneered and ordered a bowl of medicine to be brought. "Since you love drugging people so much, why don't you try it yourself?" The drug was potent. My whole body burned, and I lost all dignity. And Song's mother just stood by, smiling kindly. "Yujie, a woman should value her purity. It wouldn't look good if this got out." In this life, before Song Qian even returned home, Song's mother had already started arranging his marriage. I stood in the tea house across from the Song manor, coldly watching the matchmakers go in and out. "Miss, let's go back." "What's the rush? The show is just beginning." "Song Qian, aren't you the most filial son? In this life, I will make you and your mother drift apart." I ordered news to be spread. The daughter of the Wang family was a perfect match. A perfect match for the new top scholar. Sure enough, within a day, Song's mother couldn't wait to invite a matchmaker and brought gifts to the Wang family. "Madam Wang, your daughter is so gentle and virtuous. If she marries into our Song family, it will surely be Qian's blessing." Madam Wang was delighted, accepting the proposal on the spot. "Song Qian, oh Song Qian. Let's see how you'll live happily ever after now." A month later, Song Qian returned home in glory. The streets of the capital were packed, everyone wanting a glimpse of the top scholar. He wore his scarlet official robes, riding a tall horse. He looked as handsome as a fallen immortal. The city was captivated. When Song Qian returned home, he learned his marriage was already settled. He stood in the main hall, his face terrifyingly dark. "Mother, what is the meaning of this?" Song's mother was all smiles. "The Wang girl is dignified and virtuous. She is a perfect match for you. I won't marry her." She slammed her hand down. "Nonsense. Marriage is serious. Parents' orders. Matchmaker's words. How can you be so willful? Song Qian sneered, his gaze sweeping over the room full of gifts, finally landing on his mother's face. You think this will force me to submit? The night was deep. Bamboo shadows swayed red. The window rattled softly. Prince Qian vaulted inside, his crimson robe stirring a slight breeze. I was removing my hairpins in the mirror. The reflection showed him leaning against the daybed, a smile on his lips, his eyes deep. Haven't seen you for a few days. And Miss Jiang seems quite clear-headed. I deliberately didn't turn around, continuing to comb my long hair. He laughed softly, and suddenly hugged me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. Little heartless thing. He lightly flicked my nose, with a hint of helpless indulgence. I've really fallen for you. Song Qian sent people to investigate the Wang family. Do you want me to step in? Let him investigate. Aren't you afraid he'll find out you were the one behind it? In the mirror, my red lips curved slightly. So what if he finds out? Does he dare to break the engagement? The Wang family is a prominent clan. Their eldest daughter is the emperor's most beloved consort Shu. No matter how much Song Qian hates me, would he dare to take the risk? I tried to pull away, but he suddenly turned me around, his fingers stroking my lips. You're even more ruthless than I thought. I bit his finger. What? Scared? He suddenly gripped my wrists, pressing me against his chest. His breath was hot. Afraid I'll like you even more. Late at night, the manor was ablaze. I stood in the shadows, watching coldly as bandits broke down the gate. Blades reflected the blood-red light. Screams and cries tore through the night sky. It happened at a different time than in the last life, but the slaughter was the same. Only this time, I was prepared. I deliberately delayed for a moment. Before leading people into the main courtyard, father lay in a pool of blood, his right leg nearly severed. His face was as pale as paper. Mother curled in a corner, her eyes vacant, muttering Xiao. Xiao. And my dear brother Xiao's throat had been slit. Terror frozen in his wide eyes. The same way he died in the last life. Prince Qian came over the wall. Another group of bandits took the Wang girl. I mounted my horse, a cold smile on my lips. The night wind howled. Hoofbeats thundered like drums. I leaned low over the horse's back, the cold wind stinging my cheeks. But I couldn't suppress the memories flooding my mind. In the last life, when Song Qian went to the capital, I followed him. All the ladies in the capital know how to ride. You don't even know this? You're a disgrace. He stood by the horse, coldly watching me fall again and again. I gritted my teeth and climbed back up, my thighs rubbed raw and bloody. The family was gone, but I developed thick calluses on my legs. Before I finally learned to ride, Prince Qian caught up at some point, his crimson robes in the moonlight, like a ghostly spirit. You knew something would happen tonight. I guessed. Bandits love targeting wealthy families, don't they? He laughed softly and didn't ask further. Fire lit up the mountain fortress. Officials held torches, surrounding the place. I stood in a corner, pointing to the low wall in the northeast corner. The defense is weakest there. Prince Qian stood by my side. Hearing this, his eyes flickered, but he asked nothing. He walked straight to the prefect and whispered a few words. The prefect immediately ordered an attack there. The moment the soldiers broke through, music actually drifted from inside the fortress. A beauty in red leaned lazily on a tiger skin chair, twirling a lock of Lady Wang's hair. Oh. That was fast. She was stunningly beautiful, with features like a painting, skin as white as snow. Dressed in red, she looked both vibrant and dangerous. Lady Wang knelt at her feet, trembling. But she was nonchalantly in control. I stood behind the crowd, quietly watching her. So, this was the woman who had captivated Song Qian's soul. She truly was extraordinary. In the last life, Song Qian was kidnapped on his way to the exams. The female bandit Honggu took a liking to him. At that time, Song Qian still loved Ling Jiayue, and refused to submit until Ling Jiayue died. He was convinced the Jiang family killed her. Filled with hatred, he agreed to Honggu's condition. Help me destroy the Jiang family, and I am yours to do with as you wish. The night the Jiang family was destroyed, he stood in blood, watching Honggu's bold laugh. Suddenly feeling no one understood him better. But Honggu was still a bandit, a criminal wanted by the court. Song Qian was an official. How could he marry a female bandit? He began to scheme for Princess Fuyang's rescue. Letting Honggu happen to save her, that life-saving debt, was enough to clear her identity. That day, Honggu knelt in plain clothes. Looking pitiable, I am willing to stake my life that I will never commit a crime again. The emperor was pleased, and granted her a pardon. Song Qian looked at her submissive appearance, and suddenly remembered the night she slit a traitor's throat. Laughing wildly, he realized then that he always loved the bold Honggu. But in this life, because of my plans, Honggu appeared early. Song Qian has already lost his advantage. Let's see how he climbs high this time. Honggu escaped from prison. I was drinking tea when the news came. I nearly choked. It seems a prison couldn't hold her. The broken engagement caused a sensation. I heard those bandits were sent by the scholar. No wonder he was quick to break the engagement. He has a guilty conscience. He has a guilty conscience indeed. Lord Wang was so furious he publicly denounced Song Qian in court. Although there was no official decree, the insinuations were clear. No one expected that on the afternoon he broke the engagement. He would show up at the Jiang Manor with gifts. I sat in the main seat, watching coldly as he entered in moon-white robes, calmly stepping into the hall. He bowed slightly, his voice cold. Yujie. I have come today to ask for your hand. The servants in the hall gasped. I slowly set down my teacup. Lord Song, have you forgotten? My brother's bones are not yet cold. And your precious Jiayue just died. And yet you're in such a hurry to marry me? His gaze darkened slightly. My fingernails dug into my palms. I suddenly slammed the table. Guards, throw these things out. The servants rushed forward and took the silks, the gold, and the jewels, and threw them all out the gate. Song Qian stood there in the hall, his knuckles turning white. Jiang Yujie. You will regret this. Song Qian. Who do you think you are? To make me regret? Song Qian left Jinling to take up his post in the capital. A month later, Prince Qin and I slowly made our way to the capital as well. Princess Fuyang's return convoy reached the outskirts of the capital. Assassins launched a sudden attack, their blades aimed at the princess. At the critical moment, Prince Qin and I charged out on horseback. He cut down the arrows with his sword, while I grabbed the princess, narrowly avoiding a fatal blow. In the last life, Song Qian used this very event to clear Honggu's identity. In this life, I will make him reap what he sowed. A secret letter found on an assassin's body had handwriting identical to Song Qian's official reports. I had secretly planted it there. The emperor was furious and immediately ordered his arrest. But when the officials stormed the Song Manor, it was empty. Only a cup of tea, still warm, remained on the table. Only after arriving in the capital did I learn that Prince Qin was the youngest son of the great general's family and the nephew of the current empress. The reason he had beaten the third prince in public was why his family had sent him to Jinling for protection. Standing before the general's manor, I gripped my sleeves tightly. Who was I? Just the daughter of a declining household. How could I be worthy of such a prestigious family? Unexpectedly, just as I was hesitating, firecrackers erupted inside the manor. The old general rushed out with great strides, slapping Prince Qin so hard he stumbled. You brat, you finally tricked a wife into coming home. He turned to me, his face wrinkling with a huge smile. Don't be afraid, girl. This brat is notorious in the capital. All the girls take a detour when they see him. Lady Qin wiped her tears as she slipped a bracelet onto my wrist. Buddha be praised. This little devil is finally getting married off. I mean, someone finally wants this little devil. In the tea house, the storyteller was animatedly recounting. Young Master Qin burned the Imperial Academy at 7, made the Xiongnu envoy cry at 10, and broke the third prince's ribs for a singer at 15. Prince Qin suddenly kicked over the tea table. Bullshit. That bastard was harassing a common girl. The guests scattered like startled birds. I finally understood. It wasn't that the Qin family looked down on me, but that except for me, no one dared to marry him. King Xian rebelled and approached Rongqing. The Qin family was ordered to go to war. I insisted on following the army. In the last life, Song Qian had taken me to the battlefield. On the eve of victory, I was captured by the rebel army. He personally shot an arrow through my heart. Jiang Yujie, as long as you live, I can never marry Honggu with honor. But in this life, I want him to pay in blood. Scouts reported that Song Qian had become King Xian's advisor. Honggu was also among the rebels. In the last life, Song Qian was the hero who quelled the rebellion. In this life, he has become the rebel himself. How ironic. Below the walls of Rongqing, the Qin army was unstoppable. The rebel army was retreating in defeat. I stood atop the city wall, coldly looking down at the fleeing enemy. Then I saw Song Qian. His white robes were stained with blood, standing out starkly among the chaotic troops. Jiang Yujie. Do you think you've won? Fool. I slowly raised the bow in my hand, knocked an arrow and drew the string, just as he had done to me in the last life. The arrow pierced the air, whistling as it flew toward him. Song Qian's pupils constricted suddenly, an expression of unbelievable terror on his face. So, he could feel fear too. So, he could feel pain too. The moment the arrow sank into his heart, his expression froze. Honggu rushed out from the chaotic army and caught Song Qian's falling body. She looked up at me. There was no hatred in her eyes, only a sense of release. Then she pulled out a dagger and plunged it into her own heart. In the end, she chose to follow him into death. But what did Song Qian ever do to deserve her? Truly a foolish woman. Prince Qin stood by my side and silently held my hand. It's over. I looked at the corpses below and suddenly smiled. Yes, it's over. My hatred and my obsession have all vanished with this arrow. On the day the army returned to the capital, the first snow of the year fell. Prince Qin was waiting for me at the end of the long street. Yujie, let's go home. I held his hand tightly as we stepped into the drifting snow. In this life, I can finally live for myself. I didn't stay in the capital. After the rebellion was settled, I returned to Jinling with the remaining Jiang family wealth. In this life, I don't want to be anyone's lady. I don't want to be anyone's wife. I want to be the head of the Jiang family, the master of my own destiny. Within 2 years, the flags of the Jiang family trading house were everywhere. Silk, tea, salt, iron, and shipping. My business reached the western regions and even Nanyang. The accounting skills I learned to please Song Qian in the past life now made me the wealthiest person in the region. The riding and archery skills I practiced to survive in the past life now protect me as I travel through mountains and valleys. Every year in spring and autumn, I personally escort supplies to the border. When the soldiers of the Qin army see me, they all smile and call me Mr. Zheng. In the spring of the 5th year, Prince Qin took off his armor and rode alone to Jinling. He barged into my counting room and slammed his command seal on the table. Jiang Yujia, I'm not going to be a general anymore. I flicked the beads of my abacus without looking up. Oh? Then what do you want to do? He snatched away my ledger, leaned in close to me, and said, to be your husband. 3 days later, Jinling was decorated with festive lanterns. It wasn't a case of Miss Jiang marrying into a prestigious house, but of Mistress Jiang taking the young General Qin as her husband. When the young general arrived at the gate, the whole city came to watch the spectacle. Prince Qin sat on his horse in vibrant red robes, sneering at the girls throwing handkerchiefs at him. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a man getting married? He was as bold as ever. The next year, our son Anan was born. Prince Qin was so happy he danced for joy. After thinking about a name for 3 days and nights, he finally chose the name Yi. Another 5 years passed, and our merchant fleet discovered islands far overseas. A new journey is about to begin.